My name is Ethan, and 3 weeks before my wedding, I discovered something that snapped the ground beneath my feet. Emily, the woman I was about to marry, had secretly hired a private investigator to test my loyalty. No confrontation. No conversation. Just a silent trap to see if I would cheat. I acted calm when the pie told me, but inside my mind was spiraling. If she distrusted me this much, what was she hiding herself? That night, I stared at our engagement photo on the dresser, wondering how many parts of our relationship were real. The more I thought about it, the clearer one thing became. If Emily wanted to test me, then I needed to see who she truly was. So I hired the exact same pie she used. And I told her to follow Emily on every Thursday book club night. Cassidy called me on the first Thursday night, her voice low and steady, the voice of someone who delivers bad news for a living. She said Emily hadn't gone anywhere near the small cafe where her book club was supposed to meet. No group of friends. No books. Nothing. Instead, Emily drove straight across town, checking her mirror more than usual, like someone making sure they weren't being followed. She parked at the Marriott, walked through the lobby with her head down, and took the elevator to the 4th floor. Cassidy followed behind, casual and invisible. Emily stopped at room 412 and knocked twice. When the door opened, Cassidy snapped the first photo. Standing inside the doorway was Cole, the man Emily always referred to as her harmless, sweet, absolutely not attracted to women, gay best friend. I remembered all those jokes she'd make about how safe he was. How he was the only guy she trusted to go on trips with. How I shouldn't worry because he was basically one of the girls. Cassidy's next photos tore that lie into pieces. Emily stepped inside the room, and Cole pulled her close without hesitation. They kissed like people who had done it many times before. No awkwardness. No hesitation. No guilt. Just routine intimacy. I stared at the images for a long time, my chest twisting in a way I didn't know a body could hurt. I kept zooming in, as if maybe I'd find some detail that proved this wasn't real. But it was. It unmistakably was. Cassidy kept following them throughout the night. They ordered room service. They watched a movie together, curled up on the bed like a couple on vacation. At one point, Emily took a selfie with him, laughing, her hair messy, makeup smudged in a way I knew too well. A way I thought was meant for me. Around midnight, she left the room, fixing her shirt, smoothing her hair, stepping back into her fiancé persona. She drove home and walked into our apartment like nothing had happened. She even kissed my cheek before heading to shower, joking that her book club friends talk too much. The next morning, Cassidy sent the full report. At the end, she added one sentence that chilled me more than the photos themselves. This has been going on for at least 5 months. 5 months. Which meant this started right after I proposed. Which meant every celebration, every planning meeting, every moment I thought was building toward a future had been a performance on her side. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the report, and all I could think was how perfectly she had lied. How confidently she had played the role of someone loyal. How easily she had turned suspicion onto me by hearing a pie first, as if covering her tracks by pretending to look for mine. But if she thought I was going to confront her immediately, she didn't know me as well as she pretended. I wanted the whole truth. And the truth, I could already tell, was much bigger and much uglier than a single night at a hotel. Cassidy didn't waste time. The morning after she delivered the first set of photos, she told me she was digging deeper into Cole's background. She said something about him felt rehearsed, like a man who'd worn too many masks for too long. By noon the next day, she called again. She sounded almost surprised, which was rare for her. "Ethan," she said, "your fiancé's best friend isn't who she thinks he is." Cole wasn't gay. Not even close. Cassidy sent screenshots from his old social media accounts before he cleaned them up, photos of him with women from different cities, captions full of flirtation, and inside jokes that definitely weren't platonic. There were posts where he bragged about being the safest guy for women to trust. He used the label like a shield, hiding behind it to get closer without being questioned. Worse than that, he was engaged. Engaged to a woman named Tiffany, a preschool teacher. Someone who looked like she baked cookies on weekends and believed in people too much. Cassidy said the discovery was almost accidental. She'd been digging through public records when she found a marriage license application filed under Cole's legal name. It listed Tiffany as his fiancée. The date on the form was only 2 months old. He was cheating on her while cheating with my fiancée. I felt sick. The layers of betrayal kept stacking until I couldn't tell which one hurt more. Emily lying to me. Cole lying to everyone. Or Tiffany, completely in the dark, building a future on quicksand. Cassidy asked whether I wanted her to contact Tiffany. I told her no at first. It felt wrong to drag someone else into this mess before I even knew how deep it went. But deep down, I knew Tiffany deserved to know. She wasn't the enemy. She was another victim. Cassidy promised to keep digging. And the more she uncovered, the more it became clear that Cole was running a pattern. He seduced women by playing the harmless friend. He acted trustworthy, empathetic, safe. He cried on cue. He told stories about heartbreak to gain sympathy. Women let him in because they didn't think he wanted anything from them. Then he took everything. Cassidy found messages from other women he'd flirted with, some going back years. Most of them thought he was gay too. That was his strategy. Pretend to be safe. Pretend to be unthreatening. Pretend to be the one man who could be close to them without complicating their lives. While she gathered proof, I stayed quiet. I didn't confront Emily. I didn't change my routine. I didn't hint that anything was wrong. Every morning, I kissed her cheek like she had kissed mine after coming home from the hotel. And every day, I felt more detached from the life we'd planned. One night, Cassidy called with the last piece of the puzzle. She had spoken to someone who had dated Cole before he adopted the gay best friend persona. The girl told her he'd done the same thing to others, always targeting women in relationships, always trying to wedge himself between them and their partners. That was when I knew this wasn't just cheating. It was a con, a long-running game with multiple victims. And I realized I didn't just want the truth. I wanted everyone who'd been manipulated to see it too. Not in a quiet conversation. Not behind closed doors. But out in the open, where the lies couldn't hide anymore. The night of the engagement party felt unreal, like I was walking into a world that didn't belong to me anymore. The decorations were elegant, gold and white everywhere, candles glowing on every table. People kept hugging me, congratulating me, talking about how happy I must be. I smiled, nodded, thanked them, all while my chest felt like it was filled with smoke. Emily floated around the room in her dress, laughing, greeting guests, acting like the perfect fiancée. Her hand kept brushing my arm, her voice soft and sweet the way it always was when she wanted to look good in front of people. In the days following the engagement party, everything descended into chaos, but not the kind anyone had expected. The morning after, Emily showed up at my apartment before I left for work, eyes swollen, voice trembling in that dramatic way she used whenever she wanted sympathy. She tried to push past me at the door, insisting we needed to talk, but I didn't let her inside. She shifted from crying to apologizing to blaming, all within minutes. At one point, she said the photos were staged. Then she said Cassidy edited them. Then she said Cole had manipulated her. She threw out every excuse like spaghetti against a wall, hoping something would stick. The fallout from everything didn't hit all at once. It came in waves, each one stronger and more irreversible than the last. Emily was the first to feel it. Her workplace had already received complaints from former clients after my post spread, And when someone anonymously forwarded the engagement party photos to her licensing board, things escalated quickly. She was suspended, pending an investigation into ethical misconduct. The investigation didn't take long. There were too many patterns, too many people coming forward, too many inconsistencies in her records. Within 3 weeks, she officially lost her real estate license. The career she had bragged about nonstop, the one she'd claimed I did support enough, was gone. After everything settled, the first thing I felt wasn't triumph. It was exhaustion. A kind of deep, heavy fatigue that made it hard to get out of bed some mornings. The anger had burned out of me, leaving only the quiet ache of someone who had trusted too much for too long. That was when I decided to start therapy. Not because I was falling apart, but because I didn't want the worst people in my life to shape the rest of it. My therapist didn't ask about Emily or Cole at first. She asked about me, what I wanted, what I feared, what I hoped wouldn't happen again. For the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't performing for anyone. In the end, what stayed with me wasn't the betrayal, the photographs, or the unraveling of a relationship I once believed in. What stayed was the quiet strength that grew in the spaces left behind. It was the discovery that healing isn't a single moment, but a slow, steady return to myself. I learned that trust doesn't break all at once, it fractures gradually, and rebuilding it requires patience, gentleness, and time. I no longer replay the past or search for different endings. The story unfolded the way it needed to, revealing truths I had avoided for far too long. And though it hurt, it also forced me to grow in ways comfort never would have allowed. Now, when I look forward, I feel something I didn't expect. Not fear, not doubt, but possibility. A sense that what comes next will be shaped by who I have become, not by what was done to me. And as I step into that future, I carry one simple certainty. I am no longer defined by what broke me. I am defined by how I rose after it.